After our argument, my daughter made me some coffee. Dad, drink this as a sign of reconciliation. It tasted strange. 5 minutes later, I realized something was wrong. You won't believe what happened next. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. I was in my home office reviewing quarterly expense reports when Derek walked in without knocking. That should have been my first warning. Amanda followed 2 steps behind him, her expression tight and anxious in a way that made my stomach clench. Derek carried a manila folder like it contained something precious. He spread papers across my desk, pointing at numbers with his index finger, talking fast about guaranteed returns and ground floor opportunities. His cologne was too strong in the small space. Victor, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. 45,000 gets us in on the ground floor. 6 months, we're looking at 30% returns, maybe more. I closed the folder and slid it back across the desk. My reading glasses came off, slowly, deliberately. The conversation was finished. I've heard these promises before. The answer is no. Derek didn't move. Instead, he leaned against my desk, his hip pressing into the edge, invading the space I'd carved out for myself in this house I'd built with my own hands 30 years ago. We take care of everything around here. The yard, the maintenance, making sure you eat properly. This house, realistically, it's already ours in all but name. The words hit me like ice water. I stood up, my chair scraping against hardwood. This is my house. I built it. I paid for it. And you two have lived here rent-free for 2 years. Amanda's hand slammed down on the desk. Not quite violence, but aggressive enough to make the lamp rattle. Her face flushed red from neck to hairline. You've always been like this, counting every penny, hoarding everything. We're your family, not some charity case. I gave you $30,000 last year. You spent it in 4 months and never told me what it went toward. That's not fair. We had expenses. You don't understand the pressure we're under. But I did understand. I understood that my daughter had become someone I barely recognized, and the man she married had accelerated that transformation. Derek's hand moved to Amanda's lower back, controlling, guiding her toward the door. The gesture was possessive in a way that made my skin crawl. Mom always said you loved that business more than us. I guess money is all you ever really cared about. She'd be ashamed of the man you've become. I kept my voice quiet, steady. Your mother would never say that, and you know it. They left together. Derek glanced back once, his expression unreadable, and then they were gone. The house settled into silence around me. I walked through the rooms that night, touching things. Patricia's photograph on the mantel, her smile frozen in time. The banister I'd installed myself, sanding it until the wood was smooth as glass. Books on shelves, their spines cracked from reading. Each object was a piece of my life, evidence of what I'd built, what I stood to lose. Sleep didn't come easy. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling fan, watching shadows rotate in the darkness. Morning arrived cold and gray. I heard Amanda's footsteps in the hallway before I saw her face appear in my doorway. Her eyes were red, puffy. She'd either been crying or had done an excellent job making it look that way. Dad, can I come in? I couldn't sleep last night. I said terrible things. Things I didn't mean. You seemed to mean them at the time. She moved into the room, wringing her hands. I was stressed. Derek lost another contract and I took it out on you. That wasn't fair. I sat up against the headboard, studying her face. She looked young suddenly, like the girl who used to bring me coffee in bed on Sunday mornings when she was 10 years old. Amanda, we need to talk about last night, about what Derek said. Please, Dad, just let me make it up to you. I made your favorite coffee. Just like you like it. 2 sugars, splash of cream. Consider it a peace offering. She led me downstairs to the kitchen where a cup sat, waiting on a small tray with a napkin folded beside it. The ceremony of it felt deliberate, important. She handed it to me with both hands, and I took it, our eyes meeting over the rim. Drink up? It's getting cold. I held the warm ceramic, feeling its weight. Part of me knew better. Part of me wanted to believe my daughter was still in there somewhere, underneath the desperation and resentment. I took a sip. There's nothing to forgive, I lied. Amanda smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. She busied herself, wiping down counters, organizing the dish rack, but her movements were jerky, nervous. She kept glancing at the microwave clock. I retreated to the living room with the newspaper, trying to focus on headlines that blurred into meaningless shapes. 20 minutes passed. Then the room tilted sideways like the house had become a ship at sea. Nausea rose in my throat, hot and insistent. The newspaper slipped from my hands. I tried to stand, but my legs were made of water. I grabbed for the armrest and missed, my vision narrowing to a tunnel. The phone. I needed the phone. It sat on the side table, impossibly far away. I lunged forward, fell to my knees, crawled the last few inches. My fingers were clumsy, thick, but I managed to unlock the screen and press the numbers. 911. 911, what's your emergency? My tongue felt swollen. The words came out slurred, distant. I've been poisoned. I think, need help. Sir, I need your address. Can you tell me where you are? 4217 Maple Crest. Austin! The phone tumbled from my grip. Darkness pulled me down like drowning. My last thought before consciousness fled. Amanda, what have you done? Sound came first, a steady beeping, mechanical and insistent. Then sensation, something plastic in my nose, a pinch in my left arm, sheets that felt starched and unfamiliar. My mouth tasted like copper and chemicals. I opened my eyes to white ceiling tiles and fluorescent lights that made everything too bright, too sharp. My head throbbed with each heartbeat. A nurse appeared in my peripheral vision, her scrubs covered in tiny cartoon cats. She smiled when she saw me looking at her. Mr. Cook, can you hear me? Squeeze my hand if you can hear me. I squeezed. My grip felt weak. Where am I? You're at St. David's Medical Center. You were brought in by ambulance last night. How are you feeling? My head, everything's foggy. What happened? She checked monitors, made notes on a tablet. The doctor will explain everything. I'm going to let him know you're awake. Time passed in strange elastic stretches. I examined the IV in my arm, the leads attached to my chest, trying to piece together how I'd gotten here. Then memory came flooding back like ice water. The coffee, Amanda's face watching me drink, the room spinning, the phone call. Dr. Mitchell arrived, carrying a tablet, his expression serious in a way that made my pulse quicken on the monitor. He pulled a chair close to my bed and sat down heavily. Mr. Cook, we need to talk about what happened to you. He turned the tablet so I could see the screen. Numbers, charts, medical terminology that meant nothing to me. His pen pointed at specific values. Your blood work came back with some concerning findings. I need to ask you directly. Did you take any sedatives yesterday? Sleeping pills? Anxiety medication? No, I don't take anything like that. Just blood pressure medication. That's what I thought. He tapped the screen. See this number here? That's 3 times the therapeutic dose. Mr. Cook, your blood shows high levels of benzodiazepines and diphenhydramine. Someone put these in something you consumed. The words hung in the air between us. I heard them, understood them individually, but together they formed something impossible. What does that mean? It means this wasn't an accident. The combination, the dosage, this was deliberate. Mr. Cook, this was attempted poisoning. My hands clenched the bedsheet. I closed my eyes and saw Amanda handing me the coffee. Her smile that didn't reach her eyes. The way she'd watched the clock. My jaw tightened until my teeth ached. That's not possible. Who would... But I knew. Dr. Mitchell saw it in my face. Do you know who might have done this? His voice was gentle but firm. Hospital protocol requires reporting suspected poisonings. I hesitated. The words stuck in my throat. How do you tell a stranger that your own daughter tried to kill you? Dr. Mitchell read my silence like a book. Family? He asked quietly. I nodded barely. I'm required to report this. Attempted poisoning is a serious crime. Wait, can you give me some time? I need to be absolutely certain before I make accusations. Mr. Cook, someone tried to kill you. I know, but if I'm wrong about who, I need to think clearly. Please, 24 hours. He studied me for a long moment, then flipped through screens on his tablet. I'm documenting everything. The timeline, the blood work, this conversation. If you change your mind, or if anything else happens... He left the threat unfinished. You're lucky you called 911 when you did. Another 15 minutes at your age with your blood pressure. You understand what I'm saying? I understood. I was supposed to be dead. He left me alone with that knowledge. I stared at the ceiling, counting tiles, processing what had happened. My daughter, my only child. She'd tried to end my life for what? The house? Insurance money? Because Derek convinced her it was the solution to their problems? The anger that rose in me wasn't hot. It was cold, calculating, sharp as surgical steel. Later that afternoon, Amanda burst through the door like a hurricane of emotion. She rushed to my bedside, grabbed my hand in both of hers, pressed it to her cheek. Tears streamed down her face. "Dad, I came as soon as I heard. Are you okay? What did the doctors say?" I let my hand lie limp in her grip, spoke slowly, with pauses like I was confused and exhausted. "Amanda, I'm all right, just confused about what happened. You collapsed. I found you and called 911. Well, the paramedics were already there, but I was so scared." Derek stood behind her, hands on her shoulders, but his eyes were on my face, scanning the monitors on the wall, the charts hanging at the foot of my bed. "Victor, did the doctors figure out what caused this? Was it your medication? We need to know so it doesn't happen again." "They're still running tests. Something I ate, maybe, or a bad reaction. But they must have some idea. Did they mention your heart?" I watched his face as I answered. "No, nothing definite. Just need rest." Amanda squeezed my hand tighter. When I mentioned something I ate or drank, her grip tightened involuntarily, just for a fraction of a second. Derek's eyes flicked to Amanda briefly. I caught both reactions, filed them away. This is my fault. If I hadn't gotten upset yesterday, if we hadn't argued, the stress probably triggered this. "It's not your fault." The lie tasted like ash. "But it is. I said awful things. I've been a terrible daughter. Can you forgive me?" "There's nothing to forgive." Derek leaned forward. "Well, the important thing is you're okay now. You'll be home soon, and we'll take care of you." The emphasis on those last words made my skin crawl. "Yes, home soon. We'll make sure you're comfortable. Whatever you need. I appreciate that. Both of you." They stayed another 20 minutes, Amanda performing her grief and relief, Derek playing the supportive husband. When they finally left, I sat up straighter immediately. My weakness had been an act. I pulled out my phone, opened my notes app, and typed rapidly. "Amanda." Hand tremor. Sweaty palms when I mentioned food, jot drink. "Derek." Probing questions about diagnosis. Both visibly relaxed when I claim confusion. They don't know what I know. The nurse returned to check my vitals. I asked for my tablet. That night, I didn't sleep. I searched for estate attorneys in Austin, reading reviews carefully. I needed someone aggressive, thorough, someone who specialized in estate litigation. The word weapon kept running through my mind. I wasn't looking for a lawyer. I was looking for a weapon. Amanda and Derek thought they could end my story. They thought I was just an obstacle between them and my assets. They'd tried to make me disappear. Instead, they'd created something far more dangerous. A man with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. They wanted to play this game. I'd play it better. Not with rage or grief, but with cold, methodical precision. They tried to end my life. I was going to dismantle theirs, piece by piece, until nothing remained but consequences. The monitors beeped steadily in the darkness. A heartbeat. A countdown. The hunt was about to begin. The discharge nurse wheeled me to the hospital entrance while Amanda hovered like a nervous bird, asking questions about medication schedules and follow-up appointments. I played my part perfectly, moving slowly, gripping the wheelchair armrests, letting confusion cloud my face when she asked if I understood the instructions. Derek brought his truck around. I noticed his hand trembling slightly on the steering wheel. The ride home was thick with unspoken tension. Amanda drove my car with Derek following in his truck, checking the rearview mirror every few seconds to catch my expression. I stared out the window, watching Austin slide past, but my mind was calculating. Tomorrow morning I had an appointment downtown. "Dad, are you comfortable back there? Should I adjust the air conditioning?" "I'm fine, just tired." Derek's voice came from the passenger seat, carefully casual. "The doctors really didn't say what caused it? Just a reaction? Something like that? Can't remember all the medical terms?" Amanda's response came too quickly. The important thing is you're okay now. Home looked the same. My house, built with my own designs, paid for with my own labor. Amanda had prepared my bedroom. Fresh linens, flowers on the nightstand, a water pitcher with condensation beating on the glass. The performance continued. She insisted I rest, brought lunch on a tray with a folded napkin. Derek checked in twice, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. I thanked them with appropriate weakness, watched them leave. Through the closed door, I heard their voices downstairs, muffled, urgent. Couldn't make out words, but the tone spoke volumes. Fear, anxiety, calculation. I waited until morning. Amanda left for her real estate office at 8:30. Derek drove off 20 minutes later for his supposed business meetings. I watched from my window until both vehicles disappeared, waited 5 more minutes. Then I moved to my car with none of yesterday's hesitation, my body responding with the strength I'd been hiding. Downtown Austin traffic was manageable at this hour. Davis and Associates occupied the 7th floor of a glass building near the courthouse. The receptionist led me through wood-paneled corridors, lined with law books and framed certificates. Margaret Davis's office smelled like leather and old paper. She was 58, gray-haired, sharp-eyed. She listened to my story without interrupting. The argument, the coffee, the poisoning, the hospital diagnosis, Amanda and Derek's transparent concern masking their terror. When I finished, she set down her pen and studied me. "Mr. Cook, what you're describing is attempted murder. Have you filed a police report?" "No. I want justice, not just punishment. I want them to lose everything they tried to steal." "That's a different kind of justice. It requires patience, planning." "I have patience, and I have something they don't. Time to plan properly." Margaret outlined Texas estate law with clinical precision. No forced heirship for adult children. Complete testamentary freedom. I could disinherit Amanda entirely, leave everything to charity if I chose, but we'd need documentation. Evidence. She slid a business card across her desk. "Brian Cole, former detective, now private investigator. Best in Austin for this kind of work." His office was less polished. Functional furniture, filing cabinets, computer equipment. Brian Cole was 45, weathered, cynical in the way cops and investigators become after seeing too much human ugliness. "You think your daughter tried to kill you for inheritance?" "I don't think. I know." He didn't flinch. "Financial background checks aren't cheap. We're looking at 2, maybe 3,000 for comprehensive workup. Whatever it costs. I need to know everything. Most people in your situation just want enough for divorce court or civil cases. You're building something bigger. I'm building an airtight case. When I move, I want no questions left unanswered." I gave him names, dates of birth, social security numbers, the credit card account I'd co-signed years ago. He estimated 2 weeks for the full picture. Whatever they're hiding, I'll find it. I stopped at the hospital records department on my way home. 200 pages documenting my near death, toxicology reports, physician notes, lab values. Dr. Mitchell's assessment was stark. Intentional poisoning with benzodiazepines and antihistamines in concentrations consistent with deliberate administration. I made 3 copies, one for Margaret, one for Brian, one for my safe deposit box. 2 days later, a security company van arrived. Amanda was at work, Derek was out. The technician was young, efficient, professional. "This is a pretty comprehensive system for a residential property." "I live with family members. I want to make sure my home is secure when I'm in my bedroom." The cameras were small, discreet, professional grade. Living room, kitchen, dining room. All legal in Texas, my property, common areas only. I tested each angle on my phone, adjusted positions, confirmed audio quality. Perfect. That night, I lay in bed monitoring the feed. Derek paced the kitchen, fist hitting the counter. Amanda sat at the dining table, head in her hands. I couldn't hear everything clearly, but fragments carried, "If he knows." "Too late now?" "We need that money." Each word confirmed what I already knew. 10 days after hiring him, Brian called. His voice was flat, professional. "Victor, the numbers are worse than you probably imagined. Total debt is approaching 200,000. I pulled out a notepad. "Break it down." "Derek has 95,000 in business loans from failed ventures, 48,000 in credit card debt, $37,000 owed to private lenders at 18% interest. Amanda has $32,000 in credit cards. Monthly payments exceed their combined income by about $4,000. How are they even making minimum payments? They're not. 3 accounts are delinquent. They're juggling credit cards to pay credit cards. Classic debt spiral. Send me everything, every document, every source. The financial report arrived by encrypted email that evening. I spread the pages across my desk, highlighting key figures. 95,000, 48,000, 18% interest. The numbers told a story of desperation, of drowning, of people who saw me not as a father, but as a solution to problems they'd created themselves. They hadn't tried to kill me out of hatred. They'd tried to kill me out of necessity. To them, I was worth more dead than alive. The house valued at $850,000. My savings, my assets. Dead, I represented salvation. Alive, I was just an obstacle. I felt something cold and hard settle in my chest. Not heartbreak. That required an intact heart. This was something else. Clarity, purpose, resolve. Amanda knocked on my door around 9. "Dad, do you need anything? Can I get you dinner?" "I'm fine, honey. Just resting." "You've been in here all day. Are you sure you're feeling okay?" "Just need quiet. The hospital was exhausting." Hesitation in her voice. "Okay, but if you need anything at all, I know where to find you." After she left, I opened my evidence folders, medical records documenting the poisoning, financial reports showing their desperation, surveillance footage capturing their panic, legal documents from Margaret outlining my rights. I organized everything methodically, backed it up to cloud storage, created redundant copies. I wasn't the victim anymore. I was something else now, something patient and strategic and dangerous in ways they couldn't comprehend. They'd wanted to play for my estate, to eliminate the obstacles standing between them and financial relief. They had no idea what they'd actually created. A man who'd survived their worst, who knew their secrets, who held all the cards they thought they'd stacked in their favor. Tomorrow, I'd change my will, and then I'd show them what justice really looked like. Margaret Davis's conference room felt appropriately formal. Mahogany table, leather chairs, law books lining the walls. I sat at the head, flanked by strangers whose impartiality would prove my competence. Sarah Chen, the notary, checked her supplies. Robert Walsh and Linda Martinez, professional witnesses hired through Margaret's office, reviewed their role. Neither knew me, which was precisely the point. Margaret placed 3 identical documents on the table, each bound with blue covers. "Mr. Cook, do you understand that this document disinherits your daughter completely?" "I understand completely. That is my explicit intention. And you're making this decision of your own free will, without coercion or undue influence?" "Entirely my own decision, based on circumstances detailed in the attached memorandum." She read the key provisions aloud for the record. Her voice was steady, professional, but I heard the significance in each word. "I, Victor Cook, being of sound mind and body, do hereby revoke all previous wills and codicils. I leave my entire estate, including my residence at 42179 Maple Crest Drive, Austin, Texas, and all financial assets, to the Central Texas Veterans Support Foundation." Then the critical addition: "I specifically and intentionally make no provision for my daughter, Amanda Cook Thornton, for reasons detailed in the attached memorandum." The memorandum was 3 pages. Clinical, detailed, devastating. The argument about money, the coffee Amanda insisted I drink, the hospitalization, the toxicology report showing deliberate poisoning with benzodiazepines and antihistamines, my reasonable belief that Amanda and Derek attempted to end my life for financial gain, medical records attached, dates, times, facts. Sarah Chen performed her verification. "Mr. Cook, I need to confirm your identity and mental competence. Do you understand what document you're signing?" "Yes. It's my last will and testament, revoking all previous wills. My estate goes to the Central Texas Veterans Support Foundation." "Are you under any medication that might impair your judgment?" "No, I'm completely clear-minded." I signed each copy slowly, deliberately. My signature was steady, no tremor, no hesitation. Sarah applied her notary seal. Robert and Linda signed as witnesses, confirming my lucid demeanor. Margaret's office camera recorded everything. Standard procedure, but also additional proof I'd need later. 2 days passed. I attended what I told Amanda was a follow-up doctor's appointment. Actually, I met Brian Cole to review surveillance footage. When I returned home mid-afternoon, I had mail and documents in hand. I walked through the front door, entered the kitchen, and placed everything on the counter, including the will folder, positioned with the law firm letterhead visible, corner exposed beneath other papers, not hidden, not forgotten, staged. I retreated to my bedroom and waited. Amanda arrived home an hour later. I heard her car, her footsteps, the refrigerator opening, standard routine. Then silence, the kind that precedes discovery. Through my surveillance feed, I watched her approach the counter, reach for water, notice the documents, freeze. Her hand hovered over the law firm letterhead. She glanced toward the stairs, checking for me, then picked up the folder. She read standing. I watched her face drain of color, watched her other hand rise to her mouth, watched her knees buckle. She grabbed the counter for support. She pulled out her phone. Her fingers shook so badly she had to try twice to unlock it. Derek, get home, now. 20 minutes later, his truck screeched into the driveway. He came through the front door still wearing his jacket, moving fast. Amanda thrust the will at him. He read standing, flipping pages quickly, then slowing at the memorandum. His jaw clenched. He set the document down with excessive care, like it might detonate. Their voices were low, urgent. I couldn't make out words through my bedroom door, but I didn't need to. The surveillance system captured everything. The knock came 10 minutes later. Controlled. Professional. Not aggressive. Not timid. I opened the door. Derek stood there, and I saw the moment he registered the change in me. No frailty. No confusion. Just level eyes and straight posture. Victor, we need to talk. Amanda found something disturbing. A will? There must be some mistake. There's no mistake. That's my new will, properly executed and filed. He tried reasoning first. They were family. They cared for me. This charity didn't even know me. When that failed, his tone shifted. You're making decisions that affect everyone in this house. Decisions based on... What? Hospital confusion? Medication effects? I'm making decisions based on being poisoned. The toxicology report was very clear. Benzodiazepines and antihistamines don't spontaneously appear in coffee. His mask cracked. You can't prove anything. You're an old man with health problems making accusations. Amanda appeared behind him, tears streaming. Dad, how could you think we'd hurt you? Because you did, and now you'll get nothing from it. Derek stepped forward, aggressive now. His finger jabbed toward my chest without touching. We'll contest this will. We'll prove you're not competent. We'll get doctors to testify you're paranoid. Delusional. I didn't move. Try it. I have evidence you don't know about. I have documentation you can't imagine. And I have time. Amanda dropped to her knees on the hallway carpet. Literally. Hands clasped. Theatrical and desperate. We owe $180,000. Without inheritance, we'll lose everything. Please. The number hung in the air. Confirmation she knew I knew. You should have thought of that before you tried to kill me for it. If you would just help us one more time. I'm done helping. I'm done being your solution. I'm done being your victim. Derek pulled her up roughly. We'll contest it. We'll sue. We'll make your life miserable. I nearly died. You already made my life miserable. Now it's my turn. You're a vindictive old man. I'm a man who survived attempted murder. Get out of my room. Amanda tried one more appeal. So that's it? Years of being your daughter, and you just cut me off? Years of being your father, and you just tried to end my life? Yes, that's it. Derek's hand clamped on her arm. Come on, he's not worth it. I stepped back, hand on the doorknob. No, Derek, I'm worth exactly $850,000, and you'll never see a penny of it. I closed the door, stood there listening to Derek's footsteps storming down the stairs, Amanda's sobbing following. The front door slammed. Through my window, I watched Derek's truck peel out, tires screeching on asphalt. Amanda left 10 minutes later. The house settled into silence. I returned to my desk, pulled up the surveillance footage on my computer. Their faces when reading the will. Derek's threats. Amanda's breakdown. her implicit admission about the debt. All recorded, time-stamped, backed up to cloud storage. I downloaded the files, sent copies to Margaret and Brian. Evidence, documentation, proof, first strike delivered, not impulsive, not emotional, calculated, strategic, cold. They wanted to fight. I'd give them a fight, on my terms, with my advantages. They'd tried to eliminate me for money. Now they'd watch that money disappear, untouchable, beyond their desperate grasp. Outside, dusk settled over Austin. The house was mine again, quiet and still. Tomorrow, I'd call Margaret about eviction proceedings. If they couldn't pay market rate rent, they'd have to leave. But tonight, I simply sat in the silence they'd tried to make permanent, and I planned my next move. Brian Cole's call came on a Tuesday morning while I was reviewing surveillance footage from the previous night. His voice had that careful tone investigators use when delivering bad news. "Victor, we have a problem. Derek's been meeting with a psychologist named Lawrence Brennan." I set down my coffee. "Psychologist? For what?" "Not therapy. Brennan has a reputation. He writes diagnoses for whoever pays. I think Derek's trying to get you declared incompetent." The strategy was clear immediately. Invalidate the will by claiming I wasn't mentally capable when I signed it. Clever. Unethical. But clever. Can he do that? He can try. With a convenient diagnosis, they could petition for guardianship. Challenge your will based on mental incapacity. I drove to Brian's office within the hour. He'd spread surveillance photos across his desk like evidence at trial. Derek entering Brennan's building, sitting in the waiting area, leaving with papers. Brian had pulled Brennan's history. Lost hospital privileges 3 years ago after allegations of providing convenient disability diagnoses for insurance fraud. "He's basically a diagnosis for hire," Brian explained. Through my home surveillance system, I'd been noticing other signs. Amanda had visited Patricia Walters next door twice in the past week. Through the cameras, I'd seen them talking on Patricia's porch, Amanda gesturing, Patricia looking concerned. They were building a narrative. The confused old man, the worried daughter. I called Margaret Davis from Brian's office. "I need a comprehensive psychiatric evaluation, the most thorough one available." "Preemptive documentation," she said immediately. "Smart. I'll refer you to Dr. Patricia Hendricks, board-certified forensic specialist. If Derek tries to claim incompetence, we'll already have professional rebuttal." Dr. Hendricks's office was in the medical district, all neutral colors and abstract art. She was 61, gray-haired, skeptical in the way good psychiatrists are. "Mr. Cook, why are you seeking this evaluation?" "I want documentation that I'm of sound mind. My daughter is likely to claim otherwise. That's unusual. Most people in your situation avoid evaluation. Most people haven't been through what I've been through. I want the truth documented before lies can take root." The evaluation took 3 sessions over a week. Cognitive testing, drawing clock faces, recalling word lists, solving problems, mental status examination, life history interview. She was thorough, professional, probing. Exactly what I needed. Her report arrived via encrypted email. Mr. Victor Cook demonstrates full cognitive capacity, intact memory, logical reasoning, and appropriate judgment. He shows no signs of dementia, delirium, or any condition that would impair his ability to make legal or financial decisions. His concerns about family members appear reality-based, not delusional. The document was detailed, notarized, unassailable. I filed copies with Margaret, Brian, and my safe deposit box. Meanwhile, Brian intensified surveillance on Derek and Brennan. 3 days after my final session with Dr. Hendricks, Brian called again. "They're meeting tomorrow. Coffee shop on the outskirts. Strip mall location. Derek thinks it's private." We coordinated carefully. Brian positioned himself inside the coffee shop with his laptop and a tablet case containing professional directional microphone equipment. Texas is a one-party consent state, and I was authorizing the recording. I parked outside with clear view through the window. Derek arrived first, chose a booth in the back. Brennan came 5 minutes later. Balding, rumpled suit, the look of someone whose ethics had been for sale long enough to show wear. They ordered coffee. Then Derek slid an envelope across the table. Through the window, I photographed the exchange. Brennan checked inside, discreetly but obviously, then pocketed it. Cash payment. No paper trail. Brian's equipment captured everything. I need this evaluation to show he can't make decisions. Severe dementia. I can document cognitive decline, memory impairment, inability to manage finances. How much? $5,000 for the evaluation, written report, and court testimony if needed. And you can make it convincing? I've done hundreds of these assessments. I know exactly what courts look for. The conversation continued. Derek mentioned filing for emergency psychiatric hold. Brennan advised on triggering involuntary evaluation. They discussed tactics for guardianship proceedings. Every word was recorded, time-stamped, backed up to cloud storage before they'd finished their coffee. I had them. That afternoon, I invited Patricia Walters over. She came hesitantly, clearly uncomfortable. I made coffee, steady hands, coherent conversation, and showed her Dr. Hendrick's evaluation report. Patricia, I want you to know I'm of sound mind. What Amanda and Derek are telling you isn't true, and I can prove it. She shifted in her chair. Victor, I need to tell you something. Amanda came to me last week. She said you've been confused, forgetting things. What did she say specifically? That you wander around at night, that you've accused them of trying to hurt you. She seemed very concerned. Patricia, do I seem confused to you right now? She paused, studying me. No, you seem perfectly clear. Actually, you seem sharper than usual. That's because I am clear, and I'd appreciate if you'd document that observation in writing. She emailed me a brief statement that evening. Met with Victor Cook on May 15th. He appeared lucid, coherent, and mentally sharp. Conversation was logical and appropriate. One more piece of evidence. Margaret, Brian, and I met in her conference room to review everything. I sat at the head of the table now, not the side. This was my operation. You've successfully defended against the incompetence attack, Margaret said. The question is whether to go on offense with this recording. What are my options? We could report Brennan to the licensing board, potentially sue Derek for defamation and conspiracy, or we keep it in reserve as leverage. Keep it for leverage. I want them to hang themselves completely before I use everything I have. Margaret drafted a letter, delivered by certified mail, legal notification that Victor Cook had been evaluated by board-certified psychiatrist and found fully competent. Any attempt to file false claims about mental capacity would be met with legal action, including defamation suits and potential criminal charges for conspiracy to commit fraud. The letter didn't mention the recording. That was my ace. Through surveillance, I watched Derek receive it 3 days later. His face darkened as he read. He immediately pulled out his phone, paced the driveway. I couldn't hear his side of the conversation, but his body language screamed frustration and fear. That night, Amanda and Derek fought. The surveillance system captured it clearly. This letter says they'll sue us if we claim he's incompetent. Derek, he knows. How does he know? Calm down. He's guessing. He can't know about Brennan. What if he does? What if he recorded something? He's an old man. He doesn't have the capability for that kind of surveillance. I almost laughed. An old man. They still underestimated me. The next morning, I called Margaret and Brian to my house. We sat in my office, the same room where this had started with Derek's investment pitch months ago. So we've blocked their attempt to declare me incompetent. What's next? Margaret leaned forward. Legally, you have grounds to evict them. They're living in your home without a lease, without paying rent. How fast can we move on that? In Texas, we can file this week. If they refuse to leave or pay rent, we can have them out in 60 days, Brian added, and their financial situation means they can't afford market rent. I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. Then we file. No more living in my house while plotting against me. Margaret pulled out the paperwork. Demand for rent or possession. Market rate, $2,800 per month. Due within 10 days or face eviction proceedings. I signed the document. Margaret filed it that afternoon. The counterattack was complete. Now came the siege. Travis County Justice Court felt appropriately impersonal. Beige walls, fluorescent lights, the mechanical efficiency of law without emotion. I sat beside Margaret Davis at the plaintiff's table. Across the aisle, Amanda and Derek sat with their attorney, Laura Brennan, who looked like she already knew she'd lose. Judge Maria Torres entered. We stood. She reviewed the case file with methodical precision. Margaret presented our evidence. Property deed showing sole ownership, documentation that Amanda and Derek had no written lease, certified mail receipt showing they'd received demand for market rate rent, their refusal to pay or vacate. Laura Brennan tried her defense. Your Honor, this is a family dispute being disguised as a landlord-tenant issue. Mr. Cook is retaliating against his daughter for personal reasons. Judge Torres didn't look up from the documents. Does Mr. Cook own this property free and clear? Yes, Your Honor, I confirmed. Paid in full 20 years ago. And Ms. Thornton and Mr. Thornton reside there without lease or rental agreement? Correct. They've lived there 2 years without paying anything. Do your clients have a written lease? Judge Torres asked Laura directly. No, Your Honor, but has Mr. Cook accepted rent payments in the past? No, but this appears to be. Then he's entitled to demand rent now. Texas property code is clear. Judge Torres signed the order with decisive strokes. 30 days to either pay market rate rent of $2,800 per month plus $2,800 deposit or vacate the property. Failure to comply will result in sheriff-enforced eviction. The ruling took 8 minutes. Amanda started crying. Derek's fists clenched white on the table. Outside the courthouse, Derek intercepted us on the steps. Margaret moved between us, but I stopped. Turned to face him deliberately. You're really going to throw your own daughter out on the street? You tried to throw me in a grave. The street is generous by comparison. I'll tell everyone what kind of father you are. Tell anyone who'll listen. I have documentation of what kind of daughter I have. Back in Margaret's office, Brian joined us. He spread financial intelligence reports across the conference table. Every creditor Derek owed money to. They all think Derek has assets, Brian explained. Your house is collateral. Inheritance expectations. What if they knew the truth? I authorized the information campaign immediately. Over the next week, manila envelopes arrived at lending institutions across Texas. Inside each, copies of the new will showing Amanda's disinheritance, the eviction court order, public records documenting Derek's total debt load, clear evidence he had no actual claim to my estate. Facts only. No threats. Let the creditors draw their own conclusions. Robert Castellano, the private lender owed $37,000, was first to react. Through surveillance, I watched Derek take the call. His face went from confident to ashen in 30 seconds. Derek, we need to talk about your loan. I'm good for it. You know I'm good for it. Really? Because I just learned you're being evicted and your inheritance is gone. What exactly are you good for? That's a misunderstanding. My father-in-law is just... I don't care about family drama. I care about my $37,000. You have 1 week. Derek tried everything. Personal loans, rejected. Other private lenders, they'd heard about his situation. Loans in Amanda's name, her credit was equally destroyed. He even researched bankruptcy, but that would discharge debts while leaving them homeless anyway. The financial pressure crushed them both, but Amanda broke first. She came to my office on a Thursday afternoon when Derek was out, knocked timidly. When I opened the door, she couldn't make eye contact. Dad, please, we have nowhere to go. We can't afford rent anywhere. If you evict us, we'll be living in our car. I kept my voice level. You tried to kill me. Why would I care where you live? I was desperate. We owe so much money. Her voice cracked. It was Derek's idea. He said you were going to die soon anyway, that we were just speeding up the inevitable. I didn't want to do it, but we're so far in debt and... She stopped, realizing what she'd said. My phone was recording in my pocket. One-party consent, completely legal. Thank you for that admission, I said quietly, her face drained of all color. Are you recording this? Yes. You just confessed to attempted murder. Through surveillance that evening, I watched Derek's reaction when Amanda told him. He exploded, not at me, but at her. You admitted it? You actually told him it was us? I didn't mean to. He was asking questions, and I just... You confessed. You actually confessed to attempted murder. Their relationship was disintegrating under pressure. They barely spoke after that. Derek was on his phone constantly. Amanda packed and unpacked boxes in cycles of indecision. On day 25 of the 30-day deadline, Margaret sent the final notice. You have 5 days to comply with court order or face sheriff-enforced eviction. Derek tried one last threat. He approached me in the kitchen, my kitchen, in my house. "If you go through with this eviction, I'll claim elder abuse. I'll tell authorities you're being neglectful, that you need oversight." I almost smiled. "I have a psychiatric evaluation proving my competence. I have surveillance footage showing your abuse of me. And now I have a recording of Amanda admitting you poisoned me. Please make those claims. Give me a reason to send everything to the district attorney." His face went slack. He finally understood how thoroughly outmaneuvered he was. 5 days, I said. Leave voluntarily, and I consider not pressing criminal charges. Force the sheriff to drag you out, and I send every piece of evidence I have to the police and prosecutors. The choice is yours. Day 29. I watched from my bedroom window as Derek loaded his truck. He slammed boxes, threw belongings carelessly. Amanda cried as she carried items to her car. Neighbors watched from their yards. The spectacle was impossible to hide. I felt no triumph, just cold satisfaction. They were being purged, but I wasn't done. The eviction solved one problem. Criminal charges would solve the rest. I picked up my phone, dialed Brian Cole. "Send everything we have to the district attorney's office. Medical records, surveillance footage, recordings, everything. It's time to finish this." 2 weeks after they left, I walked into the Travis County District Attorney's office with Margaret Davis and Brian Cole. We carried 3 boxes of organized evidence. Jennifer Morrison's office smelled like coffee and old case files. She was 43, sharp-eyed, with a reputation for prosecuting elder abuse cases. She gestured to her conference table. "Show me what you have." Brian arranged folders methodically. Medical evidence, surveillance evidence, financial evidence, conspiracy evidence, confession evidence, each tab labeled, each document indexed. Jennifer opened the medical folder first. Toxicology reports, hospital records, Dr. Mitchell's assessment. She read slowly, professionally, but I saw her eyebrows rise. "This is extremely comprehensive for a civilian investigation, almost too comprehensive." "Is that a problem?" I asked. "It could be if anything was obtained illegally." She looked at Brian. "Walk me through your methods." Brian had anticipated this. One-party consent recordings, legal in Texas. Surveillance cameras in Mr. Cook's own home and common areas, legal. Financial records obtained through authorized investigation with proper documentation, legal. Everything was gathered by the book. Jennifer spent 20 minutes questioning the legality of each piece. Brian answered every challenge. Finally, she nodded. "All right, let's look at the medical evidence." She read Dr. Mitchell's report aloud. Benzodiazepine concentration 3.2 times therapeutic levels, combined with diphenhydramine at toxic doses. This combination in a 64-year-old male with hypertension could reasonably be expected to cause death. She looked up at me. "This isn't attempted poisoning. This is attempted murder." That's what Dr. Mitchell told me in the hospital. She moved to the surveillance evidence, video clips, audio recordings. She watched Amanda serving me coffee, her nervous movements afterward. She listened to fragments of conversations. "If he knows? Too late now?" Then Amanda's recorded confession. Jennifer played it twice. "It was Derek's idea. He said you were going to die soon, anyway. We needed the money. I didn't want to, but we're so far in debt." Jennifer paused the playback. "This is admissible. This is damning. And this is enough for arrest warrants." She called in Detective Maria Hernandez from Austin PD. Maria was 39, methodical, with the tired eyes of someone who'd seen too many family violence cases. Jennifer briefed her. Elder abuse, attempted murder, conspiracy. The victim did half our work for us. Maria interviewed me for 2 hours, taking detailed notes. She asked the same questions multiple ways, testing consistency. My answers never changed because they were true. Subject extremely credible, she wrote. Timeline consistent. Evidence supports narrative. 3 days later, Maria and Jennifer sat in Judge Michael Patterson's chambers with warrant applications. I wasn't present, but Margaret told me later. Judge Patterson reviewed everything, asked few questions, signed. "These are solid. Execute them." Maria assembled her team. Brian had tracked Amanda and Derek to a budget motel on Highway 290. paying weekly in cash, living out of their cars. Maria planned an early morning arrest when suspects are least likely to flee. She called me at 6:30 a.m. on the day of the raid. "Mr. Cook, stay home. I'll notify you when it's done." I waited, drank coffee, watched the clock. At 9:15, my phone rang. "Mr. Cook, I wanted to inform you personally. Amanda Thornton and Derek Thornton have been arrested and charged with attempted murder and conspiracy. They're in custody at Travis County Jail." I thanked her, hung up, sat in my quiet house. No celebration. Just the exhale of breath I'd been holding for months. The bail hearing was next morning. Margaret drove me downtown. I sat in the gallery, invisible to them but present. Judge Sarah Mendoza presided. Amanda and Derek were brought in separately, both in orange jumpsuits. Amanda had lost weight, looked hollow. Derek stood rigid, defiant. Ada Morrison argued flight risk. Mr. Thornton was researching one-way flights out of state. They have no community ties, no employment, and face life sentences. The public defenders did their best. Community roots, no prior criminal history. Amanda's relationship to me? Judge Mendoza was unmoved. Bail is set at $500,000 each. Neither could afford even the 10% for a bondsman. They were returned to jail. Separate sections. No contact. The local news picked up the story that evening. Daughter arrested for attempted murder of father in inheritance plot. My name was withheld as the victim, but their mugshots were public record. Patricia Walters called. "Victor, if you need anything, testimony, support, anything, I'm here." "Thank you, Patricia. That means more than you know." That night, I stood in my kitchen, the kitchen where Amanda served the poisoned coffee. I'd repainted it since they left. Different color, clean slate. My phone buzzed. Text from Margaret. "Preliminary hearing next week. They'll likely waive it and go straight to trial. Are you ready?" I typed back, "I've been ready since I woke up in that hospital." I sent it, set down the phone. The wheels of justice were finally turning, and I wasn't their victim anymore. I was their prosecutor's star witness. Late August heat pressed down on Austin like a weight. I stood outside courtroom 3C at Travis County Criminal Courthouse, dressed in a conservative gray suit Margaret had helped me choose. "Looking credible," she'd said, "looking stable." Through the door, I heard the murmur of jury selection. 12 citizens who would decide my daughter's fate. Jennifer Morrison found me in the hallway. "Mr. Cook, you'll be called this afternoon. Remember what we practiced. Clear, factual, no emotion. Let the evidence speak." I nodded. I'd rehearsed my testimony for weeks. Opening statements began at 10 a.m. I sat in the gallery, watching. Jennifer stood before the jury. 7 women, 5 men, ages ranging from late 20s to early 70s. Teachers, engineers, retail workers, retirees. Ordinary people about to hear an extraordinary story. This is a case about greed, desperation, and betrayal. The evidence will show that Amanda Cook Thornton and Derek Thornton attempted to murder Victor Cook, Amanda's 64-year-old father, by poisoning him with a lethal combination of medications. Why? For inheritance. For money. For an $850,000 house they wanted immediately, rather than waiting for nature to take its course. She walked toward the jury box, made eye contact with each person. Victor Cook trusted his daughter. He let her live in his home. He supported her financially, and she repaid that trust by putting poison in his morning coffee. At the defense table, Amanda was crying. Derek sat stone-faced, taking notes. Robert Hayes, Amanda's public defender, took a softer approach. My client made terrible mistakes born of desperation and manipulation. She was under crushing financial pressure and the controlling influence of Derek Thornton. But attempted murder? The evidence will show a tragic accident, not intent to kill. Linda Vasquez, Derek's attorney, went aggressive. Derek Thornton is innocent. The evidence will show that Amanda Cook Thornton acted alone and has tried to implicate my client, to deflect her own guilt. They were already turning on each other. Dr. James Mitchell testified first. He explained the toxicology with clinical precision. Benzodiazepine levels 3 times therapeutic dose, antihistamines at toxic levels. In my professional opinion, this combination in a man of Mr. Cook's age and health status would likely cause death. The victim survived due to prompt emergency response. Hayes tried to create doubt on cross-examination. Could these medications have been accidentally combined? The specific combination and dosage make accident extremely unlikely. This required knowledge and intent. They couldn't shake him. Detective Maria Hernandez walked the jury through the investigation. Photographs of medication bottles from the motel. Computer screenshots. Lethal dose benzodiazepines elderly. How long for poisoning to kill? Texas inheritance laws. Several jurors leaned forward, engaged. Brian Cole testified about surveillance. Defense objected to admissibility. Judge Morrison ruled immediately. Cameras installed in Mr. Cook's own home, common areas only, are legal in Texas. Objection overruled. Then they played the footage. Derek and Amanda in my kitchen, whispering, "If he knows." Too late now. Amanda stared at the defense table, crying. Derek's jaw clenched. Patricia Walters testified about hearing violent arguments, about Amanda later claiming I was losing my mind, contrasting with Patricia's observations of my clear competence. Then Amanda's recorded confession. The courtroom fell completely silent. "It was Derek's idea. He said you were going to die soon anyway. We needed the money. I didn't want to, but we're so far in debt." Her voice filled the courtroom, desperate, guilty, damning. At the defense table, Derek shot Amanda a look of pure fury. My turn came after lunch. I took the stand, raised my right hand, swore to tell the truth. Jennifer walked me through it. The argument, the next morning, the coffee. Amanda insisted I drink it. Within 20 minutes, I couldn't stand. The room was spinning. I managed to call 911 before I lost consciousness. Hayes cross-examined, trying sympathy. "Mr. Cook, do you love your daughter?" "I did, very much." "Do you love her now?" "I love the daughter I thought I had. But the person who poisoned me? I don't know who that is." He tried to suggest vindictiveness, changing the will, eviction. I changed my will after discovering she tried to poison me. That's not punishment. That's protection. Vasquez was more aggressive. "Isn't it true you hired an investigator to spy on my client?" "I hired security after someone tried to kill me. That's not spying. That's survival." I didn't break, didn't take the bait. Against her attorney's advice, Amanda testified. She cried, apologized, claimed she never meant real harm. "I love my father. I would never want him dead. Yes, I made the coffee, but I only put in sleeping pills." Jennifer destroyed her own cross. "Sleeping pills? But your internet searches included lethal dosages and combinations that cause death. Explain that." I was just curious. I didn't mean... You were curious about lethal combinations the day before you served your father coffee that nearly killed him? No answer. Derek denied everything, claimed Amanda acted alone. Jennifer played the recording of him discussing fake psychiatric reports with Dr. Brennan. The jury looked skeptical. Closing arguments were powerful. Jennifer was relentless. They tried to murder a 64-year-old man for money. They failed only because Victor Cook was strong enough to call 911. They showed no remorse until caught. This isn't a family tragedy. This is attempted murder for financial gain. The jury deliberated 7 hours. I waited, didn't leave the courthouse. Margaret sat with me quietly. Finally, verdict reached. We returned to the courtroom. Everyone stood. "Will the defendants please rise?" They stood. Amanda trembling, Derek rigid. The foreman was a 54-year-old engineer. His hands shook slightly. "In the matter of State of Texas versus Amanda Cook Thornton, count 1. Attempted murder. We find the defendant guilty." Amanda collapsed. Her attorney steadied her. "Count 2. Conspiracy to commit murder. We find the defendant guilty." Same verdicts for Derek. He stood motionless, face blank. Judge Morrison thanked the jury, set sentencing for 2 weeks. Bailiffs took them away. Amanda looked back at me, mouthed, "I'm sorry." I met her eyes, nodded once. Acknowledgement, not forgiveness. Outside courthouse steps, Margaret asked, "How do you feel?" I considered, "Like I can breathe again." Sentencing in 2 weeks, but the verdict was what mattered. Guilty. Both of them. Guilty. 2 weeks later, I returned to courtroom 3C for sentencing. The same wood paneling, the same Texas state seal, but everything felt different. The uncertainty was gone. The jury had spoken. Now came the accounting. Bailiffs brought Amanda and Derek in separately. Orange jumpsuits, handcuffs, ankle chains that made metallic sounds against the floor. Amanda had lost weight, looked a decade older than her 36 years. Derek stood rigid, jaw set, refusing to show weakness. Judge Morrison reviewed the case briefly. We're here for sentencing in the matter of State of Texas versus Amanda Cook Thornton and Derek Thornton, both found guilty by jury of attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Probation Officer Rachel Chen presented her reports first. Amanda: no prior criminal record demonstrates remorse. Participates in jail counseling. Derek: minimal remorse. Continues claiming innocence. Pattern of financial irresponsibility. Her recommendations were clear. Mid-range sentence for Amanda. Upper range for Derek. Jennifer Morrison stood to argue for the state. Your Honor, this was premeditated attempted murder of an elderly man by his own daughter and son-in-law for financial gain. They researched lethal dosages, administered poison, showed no remorse until caught. The state recommends 15 years for Amanda Cook Thornton and 18 years for Derek Thornton. Robert Hayes pleaded for Amanda. No criminal history, crushing financial pressure, Derek's manipulative influence. She's already lost her father, her freedom, her future. Linda Vasquez had less to work with for Derek. She argued financial stress, claimed he was Amanda's accomplice rather than leader. The recordings proved otherwise. Her argument was weak, and she knew it. Then Judge Morrison invited me to speak. I walked to the podium. I'd written a statement, but didn't use it. The words came without script. Your Honor, on that morning when I drank the coffee my daughter made, I trusted her. Parents trust their children. That trust was my vulnerability. They exploited it, not just to steal from me, but to end my life. I gripped the podium edges, not from nervousness, but to ground myself. I survived by chance and quick action. They showed no remorse until they were caught. They tried to destroy my credibility, attempted to have me declared insane. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was calculated, planned, executed. I paused, met the judge's eyes. I don't ask for revenge. I ask for justice proportional to what they attempted. My life. Amanda was given opportunity to speak. She stood trembling, tears streaming. Your Honor, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to my father, to this court, to everyone I've hurt. I was desperate. I was stupid. I was wrong. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want my father to know I loved him, and I destroyed that love through my own actions. Derek's turn. His attorney had begged him to show remorse. He didn't. Your Honor, I maintain I had no knowledge of any poisoning. I've been convicted based on circumstantial evidence and my wife's false testimony. Judge Morrison's expression hardened. Derek had just made his situation worse. The judge took his time, reviewing documents in silence. Then he looked at both defendants. I've considered everything presented. This was a premeditated attempt to murder a vulnerable elderly man for financial gain. The violation of familial trust makes this particularly heinous. He turned to Amanda first. Amanda Cook Thornton, you are hereby sentenced to 12 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, with eligibility for parole after serving half your sentence. You are further ordered to pay restitution to Victor Cook in the amount of $125,000. Amanda collapsed. Her attorney steadied her. Derek Thornton, you were the architect of this conspiracy. Your lack of remorse demonstrates you pose a significant danger. You are sentenced to 15 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, with eligibility for parole after serving 2/3 of your sentence. You are ordered to pay restitution to Victor Cook in the amount of $125,000. The gavel fell. Final. Irreversible. Defendants remanded to custody pending transfer to state facility. This court is adjourned. Bailiffs approached. Amanda looked back at me one last time, mouthed, I'm sorry. I met her eyes, nodded once. Acknowledgement, not forgiveness. Derek stared straight ahead as they led him away. In the courthouse hallway, Jennifer Morrison shook my hand. Justice was served today, Mr. Cook. I hope this brings you some peace. It brings closure. That's more valuable than peace. Margaret drove me home. We didn't talk much. Words weren't necessary. First thing I did when I arrived home. Changed every lock in the house. Front door, back door, side entrance, garage. New keys, new mechanisms. physical act of reclaiming my space. Each lock I installed felt like sealing off the past. That afternoon, movers arrived, creditors exercising their rights to Amanda and Derek's belongings. I watched from my window as strangers carried out furniture, electronics, boxes, payment for debts that would never be fully satisfied. After they left, I walked through the empty rooms. In Amanda's former bedroom, I found one item they'd missed: a photograph. Amanda at age 7, gap-toothed smile, holding a Valentine's card. "To Daddy, I love you." I stared at it for a long time. That little girl was gone. The woman who poisoned me had replaced her. But this photograph was from before. I didn't throw it away. I placed it in a drawer in my office. Not displayed, but preserved. A memory of who she was before she became who she is. That evening I sat in my living room. The house was quieter than before, but it was peaceful quiet. I made dinner, ate at the table, watched the news. Normal activities. But they felt different now. Lighter. Free. 1 week later, I sat on my back porch with morning coffee. The mail carrier arrived. Among the bills was an envelope from the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Mountain View Unit, Amanda's facility. I recognized her handwriting. My first thought was not to open it. My second thought was that avoiding it gave her power. I opened it. 3 pages. Blue ink. Tear stains visible on the paper. She wrote about prison, the routine, the boredom, the fear. She wrote about regret, specific memories from her childhood, times I was there for her. She wrote about understanding now what desperation made her do. She asked if I could ever forgive her, if I'd ever visit, if there was any possibility of redemption. She ended, "I don't expect you to respond. I don't deserve it. But I needed you to know that I finally understand what I did to you. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry." I read it twice. I didn't feel anger. I felt recognition. She was genuinely suffering consequences and genuinely remorseful. I folded the letter, placed it on the table. Later that day, I met Margaret for lunch. Downtown restaurant, quiet booth. I showed her the letter. "What do you want to do?" she asked. "I don't know. Part of me wants to forgive her. Part of me never can. Those aren't mutually exclusive. You can acknowledge her remorse without forgiving the act. You can have compassion for her suffering without forgetting she caused it." We talked about the house. I'd been considering selling it. Too many memories. Every room has echoes. Where would you go? Somewhere smaller. I don't need 3,000 square feet anymore. That afternoon, I drove to the Central Texas Veterans Support Foundation office. Small building, modest furnishings, walls covered with thank you letters from veterans. Sarah Martinez, the director, greeted me warmly. "I don't want to wait until I'm gone," I told her. "I want to start now." I propose selling my house and donating a substantial portion to the foundation. I want to fund a specific program, supporting victims of elder abuse and family violence, people like me who survive but need resources to rebuild. Sarah was moved. "Mr. Cook, we could create a named fund, help dozens of families." The next day, Realtor Tom Bradford walked through my house with me. We discussed market value, timeline for sale. "This is a beautiful property," he said. "It was beautiful. It can be again for someone else." He showed me 3 condos. The third felt right. 1,200 square feet, 10th floor view of downtown Austin. Manageable, secure, no yard work, no memories. This one, make an offer. That evening I sat at my desk with Amanda's letter. I pulled out stationery, wrote a response. 1 page. "Amanda, I received your letter. I believe your remorse is genuine. I also believe the damage you did can't be undone. I'm not ready to visit. I may never be ready. But I acknowledge you're serving your time and facing consequences. I hope you use these 12 years to become someone better than the person who poisoned my coffee. That's all I can offer right now. Victor," I sealed it, addressed it to Mountain View Unit. Over the next few days, I decluttered methodically. Donations to charity, discarding items with bad associations, carefully packing what I wanted to keep. While packing my office, I found Amanda's childhood photo again. I looked at it for a long time. That 7-year-old with the gap-toothed smile. I carefully framed it, packed it with important documents. Not to display, but to keep. That little girl existed. She was real and loving. What happened later doesn't erase what came before. Patricia Walters invited me to a neighborhood dinner. I almost declined, but I accepted. The evening was surprisingly pleasant. Neighbors were kind, treated me normally. I realized I'd been so focused on justice that I forgot about life. This is what moving forward looks like. Small connections, normal interactions, rebuilding routine. 2 weeks after Amanda's letter arrived, Sarah Martinez called. Victor, the board approved the fund. We're calling it the Victor Cook Elder Justice Fund. Your donation will help abused victims with legal support, housing assistance, counseling services. I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Purpose. Not revenge purpose, but constructive purpose. Late September evening, I sat on my back porch one last time as owner of this house. September 28th. The sale was pending, the condo purchase in process, the foundation donation being structured. I'd mailed my response to Amanda. Brief, honest, without false promises. I'd made my peace with what happened. Not forgiveness exactly, but acceptance. They tried to kill me. I survived. They faced justice. I reclaimed my life. I thought about the past 8 months. The poisoning, the investigation, the trial, the justice, the aftermath. Amanda in prison, Derek in prison. My house being sold, my new condo, my charitable work ahead. I didn't feel happy. Happiness seemed too simple. I felt settled, complete. The coffee cup in my hand was almost empty. Coffee I made without fear. I stood, walked inside, washed the cup, turned off the lights. Tomorrow I'd meet with movers. Tomorrow I'd start packing for the new place. Tomorrow I'd take another step forward. But tonight I simply existed. A survivor. Not a victim. Not an avenger. Just a man who refused to let attempted murder define the rest of his life. I closed the back door, locked it with my new key, and headed to bed. The house was quiet. The future was uncertain, but it was my future, and that was enough. If you liked this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.